You are listening to the Music Mondays with MAZEMENT podcast. You can find this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. For more information, go to musicmondayspodcast.com. In this episode, I'm going to talk some of the latest news, like the Super Bowl 2022 hip-hop halftime show, as well as introduce you to an all-new artist on call and close out the episode with an all-new release feast. Here it is. What's going on, music heads? Welcome back to another episode of the Music Mondays with MAZEMENT podcast. I am your host. I hope you had a great month of October, as I know I did. I've been doing a lot of songwriting and working on a lot of release planning for some upcoming projects that I can't wait to share with you. As you know, my last single with my group, Release Duo, is now available on all major digital streaming platforms. Go check it out. It's called Something New, featuring Joy. It's an authentic hip hop track with a refreshing feel to remind you what's so great about the genre, between the elements with different flows and different styles blended together with a singer-songwriter on the hook. I don't think it'll disappoint you as a hip hop fan. Speaking of which, as you can tell on this show, between the artists on calls that I bring on and different news segments I bring up, I've been mixing it up as much as I can in regards to hip hop and EDM with other genres as much as I can. I'm staying true to my taste and what I admire about music, like even different genres. Just know I'm trying to change it up as much as I can, bring different styles on that you may not have heard through the past few seasons. If you have any ideas, let me know. Hit me up, musicmondays@mazement.co, or hit me up on the socials at Music Mondays Podcast. Here's a fact.
Music Mondays, music facts.
As a songwriter, Paul McCartney has accumulated a net worth of up to $1.2 billion to date.
Music Mondays, music facts.
Ever since Rock Nation teamed up with the NFL, you kind of knew there was some great performances and different musical opportunities coming to NFL games. Well, it's happened. I mean, last year you had The Weeknd. That was a part of that deal. I thought that was a great performance. I heard a lot of people didn't. This year's even better. We have a legendary lineup with a combined total of 43 Grammy Awards with all these performers. You have Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Kendrick Lamar, and Mary J. Blige all taking the stage together for this year's halftime show for the Super Bowl. I'm ecstatic about this. As soon as I heard about the deal, I'm like, okay, can the Super Bowl be tomorrow? Because I'm just ready for this now. We need this. As Dr. Dre said when asked his opinion about it, it's great for the culture. I 100% agree. Speaking of refreshing feels in hip hop, this is going to be great to see and hear. So stay tuned for that on Super Bowl. I believe it's February 13th, 2022. So you got some time, but just know that it's going to be a great performance this year. And if you hated the Weekends last year and you're a hip hop fan, then this is heaven for you. Stockholm, Sweden's Ericsson Globe was renamed the Avicii Arena 5 months ago. And now 5 months later, they have announced their first Avicii-related performance. It's on December 1st. Will feature acts such as Galantis, Hakan Hellstrom, Miriam Bryant, and last but not least, the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra. The concert will be the debut For a Better Day concert, and it's intended on bringing attention to mental health among young people. As we all know, we lost Avicii a few years back due to mental health related issues. Inspired by his foundation called For a Better Day. If you're able to make it to Stockholm, tickets are on sale now. Oftentimes, with the oversaturated industry that we have in front of us, we often forget about the legends that are among us. You know, like I mentioned in the fact, Paul McCartney Ringo Starr, those guys. And then you got like Stevie Wonder. The one thing that stuck out to me about him this past month is that even at 71, he's still going for gold. He's back in the studio working on some stuff. One of the tracks I believe he is redoing is called The Melody and Music, which he did previously with Gary Clark Jr. That's worth checking out if you haven't heard it already. I just thought this was awesome to hear. And it also reminded me, because I'm so used to hearing all these new artists and, all the, popcorn today. These legends in the industry, I feel, do get taken for granted sometimes. I think it's amazing when artists like Stevie Wonder are still at it, still recording, not giving up, not throwing in the towel, no matter how much money or how much success they have. They're still at it. That was great to hear. So I will not be doing a Let's Get Technical this month because there wasn't too much tech that stuck out to me that came out in this past month. If I missed anything, let me know. musicmondayspodcast.com or hit me up at the email musicmondays@mazement.co. But I did make an upgrade here in the studio. I had a Raven digital mixer in here. For you music heads that are used to seeing different equipment, you know what that is. It was touchscreen. I'm so used to using faders. It was driving me nuts. So I ended up getting rid of that. I had it for a couple of years, and I now got the SSL UF8. I love it so far. I'm getting used to it still, getting back in the swing of things. I was spoiled, though, having the two screens, so I got to get used to that now. I mean, oftentimes in episodes, you'd probably see like a little cutoff up here if you're watching this on YouTube. Now it's tough not having that second screen. When I'm doing video editing and stuff, I'm like right up close to the screen, but I'll get used to it. I'm super grateful that SSL is making this equipment more accommodating to smaller studios. I mean, the one I used at Studio B at Quad was like $100,000, and it was like insane size compared to this one, but awesome to see. Love using it. Check it out if you haven't already. That's the SSL UF8. Other than that, I've been working on a lot of songwriting as well as some release planning, like I said, for future projects, which is why this month I chose to bring a songwriter on to this episode. And not only is she a songwriter, she's a young songwriter, just starting out in her career. And when I say just starting out, I mean, she's reaching success already. She has over 250,000 streams on Spotify already, as well as a lot of other accomplishments like producers she's worked with that have worked with, Billie Eilish and other artists today. Today, I'm bringing on Cloe Wilder from Clearwater, Florida. She's going to share her story as well as her new music video. If you're watching this on YouTube, otherwise you're going to hear the song called In the Next Life. I can't wait to hear about her passion, what she has planned. And then we're going to get right back into a release feast to close out this episode. That being said, here it is, an all new Artist on Call.
Artist on Call. Artist on Call.
We are here with Cloe Wilder from Clearwater, Florida, now in LA. How are you, Cloe?
I'm really good. Yeah, I'm in LA right now. I've just been writing tons of songs and it's been super fun. How are you?
I'm great. How did that move happen going to LA?
Well, I still spend like half of my time in Florida. That's where all my family is. And so, yeah, I mean, it was kind of a gradual thing because I went to my first writing camp when I was 12, and that was not in LA. That was like in the Cayman Islands somewhere, which was super fun. But that was when I like actually started to release music, and then eventually my team like developed itself, and they all happened to be in LA. And so then it kind of just like the need to be in LA sort of presented itself after that. And yeah, so for a while, my mom and I were just coming out here together, and, we were staying at like the same hotel every time. And we were here and then we were starting to come out for like months at a time. And so, yeah, I mean, I definitely spend more time here now in this house, and I have my little studio, which I'm in right now. But yeah, so that's been super fun, but it was definitely like a gradual thing. And now we just spend like we've been here for a couple months now, and then we go back to Florida for a couple months. And that's where, I do all my school things, and here is where I do the music.
That's so cool. I mean, what better place to be doing music, especially the genre and the music that you're creating, than LA, and like that being said, what age did you really start on the piano? Like when was that?
Oh, I've been taking piano lessons since I was like 4, and we'd
Oh,
always
wow.
had a piano in my house. My grandma had gotten a piano before I was born, and she ended up not playing it, but it was like a really great piano. And I was just like the one who always, and I was little, and so I would just like bang on it when I, walk by or whatever. And then eventually I started, but it was cool too because it wasn't something like, my mom didn't like push me to take piano lessons, which I feel like creates like the angsty musician thing, which I am one, but I wasn't pushed into, taking piano lessons. Like, and I'm glad that I was so like classically trained that early in life, but it was something I was all in. Like I wanted to do that so bad. I just really, really enjoyed music. And yeah, so that was all me. But yeah, I was really little and I just kept going. And I think I stopped taking lessons when I was like 10 or 11, around the time I started like really writing songs, because at that point I was like, okay, I feel like I kind of have got it down. But yeah, I think if I wouldn't have had the, classic piano lessons going on, learning that instrument would have been very difficult. I'm trying to teach myself the guitar right now.
I was going to ask that because if you're watching this on YouTube, you would see a guitar hanging out behind her in her studio. But
I'm trying really hard, but honestly, and I cut my nails and everything. Like I've got the commitment, but but it's different for sure. And I think being so used to the piano and knowing everything about the piano, it's different. But I'm just trying to like go through the motions and actually like play it just every once in a while and not really think about like what it's going to sound like at this point.
Well,
but
yeah.
I mean, like, I'm okay. Like I can strum and I can like play songs and write songs on the guitar. But yeah, so I'm not comfortable like playing the guitar for people yet. And that's where I want to get.
Well, and I think you're in like the perfect age range too to learn an instrument. Like obviously starting the piano at 4 is like bonkers, but like either way, like now, like I've had guitars like over the years on and off since I was like early teens, whatever. And then all of a sudden, like now here I own a studio and stuff and I have 2 guitars in here. I like you're saying, I could barely play them myself, like I can.
I have 3 in here. I have some on like on my wall over here. I don't.
Oh yeah. Yep.
No idea.
Aesthetically though, it makes us look so much better.
Oh yeah, they're great. They're great, especially if nobody knows. Like, you're like, yeah, these are my guitars.
Right. Yeah. And in my defense, like sometimes, and like you're like as you're writing, you might pick it up. Same thing here. Like if I'm working on production for somebody and I need a little riff that I can play, I'll play it.
Exactly.
But
I have my moment.
Right.
That's kind of like in my sessions recently. I've been able to like go sit outside and like strum a little bit and have the idea myself, but like doesn't always happen. But
right.
I can do it. I think.
No, it's awesome. And like I think for you have an advantage over a lot of people learning guitar too, just by starting on the piano. Like, would you say learning that theory kind of does give you the advantage? I would think so, right?
I guess so. I think I'm definitely like teaching myself the guitar is a completely different, like, and I think it would have been the same, teaching myself the piano. I had like a super, my teacher was great. And that's the thing. Like I had a teacher and I had lessons and I had recitals and I had all those things. And obviously I was, reading music. And so it's definitely, and right now I'm just kind of like learning chords, which isn't the first thing I did on the piano. So it's like, a little bit different, but I mean, I guess the piano is like the mother instrument. And so I kind of like, I was hoping it would help me out going into it. I feel like I'm a more confident musician because of the piano and like how much I know about the piano. And so I think that that's helping because I'm like, okay, I can play one thing really well. So I'm sure I can do this.
Well, especially with singing too, with the piano, they go hand in hand because you're hitting the keys,
It's so nice.
Yeah, I would definitely not want to sing along with what I play on the guitar. It wouldn't sound too great. So, so who are you listening to nowadays? Like, who are some of the artists that you really jam out to?
Let me go on my Spotify just to check.
Oh, absolutely.
Phoebe Bridgers has been like my main one right now, and I'm seeing her in concert this week. And
that's awesome.
But yeah, it's been Phoebe Bridgers, Matt Mason, Bon Iver. I'm kind of in like a different world when I'm like songwriting wise right now. And I'm just kind of trying to find some songwriting inspirations, just listening to, because it's a different style of writing that I'm used to. I'm kind of going the more like folksy alternative world. And I'm just kind of trying to like feel my way through it. But yeah, so I've definitely been into that. Phoebe Bridgers has been like my main one. Like that's what, I feel like the artist that you connected the most with in quarantine is like going to stick with you for a while. And that's what happened to me with Phoebe Bridgers. I'm just kind of like into the very like warm conversational music, and also like her writing style. It's so like dark and witty, and like I don't know, like I can listen to like her saddest song and it'll still like make me laugh a little bit at one point, just because she's amazing with references and all of that. And I just love like all the little moments she creates. But yeah, those are some of my faves right now.
I mean, and like for artists in general, I think like artistically, she shows a lot of attention into cover art and stuff like that. And I've always admired her for that. You know,
gosh,
like there's stories behind
art.
stories.
Yeah, totally. The Punisher cover art is like one of my favorite ones, where she's like in the desert and it's all red. I love that. And even like the first album with like the little ghost over her child self. I love that. Yeah, she's great.
And from like a label's perspective, I think just branding all around, just the fact that she had the cover art mixed with like every other piece of art that came out about that album or about any song on it was totally coherent to that, album cover.
Yeah, I think she's really great with the like, especially in aesthetics, all of the cohesion that comes along with it, because that's hard. That's hard to maintain something.
Right.
Well. But yeah, I love her. I think she's great.
Oh, absolutely. And like people listening to this are like, wait, don't every artist do that? But I'm talking the way she did it was so impressive.
Detail. It's really, it's kind of like, and even I've been guilty of that. There's like, you can totally gloss over that so easy and be like, no, it's fine. Everything will go together. But like with her, like you said, like those first few cover, all the like little ghosts hidden in, I don't know. I love it.
No, I'm with it too. I 100% agree. And now speaking of which, like being an artist, being a musician has so many different layers to it, as you can tell already, even, from starting out when you did to now. And like, you've worked with some pretty big name producers. You've been in the studio recording. You're learning an instrument. You got a studio. But there's so many elements, even on the graphic side, designing cover art and everything. What would you say is your favorite aspect so far as a artist?
That's a good question. I mean, the aspect of cover art, I feel like I like anything that can, like you said, like further a story and add another layer.
Right.
That's honestly, I really did that for the first time with my last EP, with the cover art of that. That was the first one that actually felt like it had a little bit of like, it was tied together because it went with one of the music videos and I really liked that. But yeah, I'd say that. And also I'm just such a big fan of coming up with colors and aesthetics and just like really like thinking about that. But yeah, and even like for cover art, like I would dye my hair a different color for every, cover photo I had. And I thought that was fun too. Like just make little changes and just, having the opportunity to like, and when I hear a song, like my song In the Next Life, that always felt so blue to me. And so, I got the opportunity to make this visual so blue. And even like the same ones with other ones, like It's True off of my EP felt pink, Call Me If You Need Me felt purple. Like all of these little songs that just had colors for me that I wanted to give to other people. So I think that that's super cool too, that you can kind of show people what you feel like it looks like.
That's such a great point. And especially because it's something so simple as colors. A lot of people don't pay attention to like blues are cold colors and like reds are warm colors, so you want to use them in different ways. And it's psychological, a lot of it. And like a lot of people don't really connect that. They're just like, oh, it's a girl, so it's light blue or pink. It's like, no, there's a reason behind that.
Yeah, totally.
That's so cool. And speaking of which, In the Next Life just released the video for that, which by the way was great. And I'm actually going to play that here in a minute. But before we do, tell me a little bit about that whole process and how that song, what that song means to you and everything.
Sure. That was the third song we wrote for my EP. And yeah, I wrote it with Jackie Young, Sam Nicolosi, and Ezzy. And Sam Nicolosi produced the whole EP and is producing all of my current songs too. But I was kind of, with this EP, I was just kind of covering my bases when it came to like me as a person and like the past, few years of my life. And so this one was definitely like, it came from a place like the only major death I've experienced was my grandpa's. And like, I wasn't, and this is definitely regretful. Like I wasn't super close with him and I wasn't around him that much. And it was kind of one of those things that when he died, I saw how it affected my entire family and we kind of fell apart for a period of time. And, I think I just realized his importance more after the fact. And I think that, you just do so many little things to comfort yourself when a person dies. And I think that one of those things is telling yourself like, okay, maybe we'll see them again, even if that's not what you really believe. And so I think that this song came from that. Just, the sort of like, even if you're lying to yourself, even if it just like makes you feel better to say, like maybe we'll see them again. And yeah, so it's kind of just like the whole possibility. And I think it's sweet that we do that, and it also is interesting, like how, so something so sad as a death can like really actually bring people together. That's like morbid, but you know what I mean?
No, it's true.
But yeah, so it definitely came from a morbid place, but that's why I'm so proud of it, because it ended up being I think it came together really like pretty. And that's why I'm so proud of it, because when I listen to it, it's light and it's pretty and it's comfortable to listen to, but you can still, be upset about it because of what it's about. And I think that's like what the goal with this EP was to, make it all sound like me and, have that like ethereal bedroom pop indie style, but be able to, bring things up that had a little more depth to them. And this one was definitely one of them. And so like for the video, it felt, it was honestly like the video, we were going to do something totally different. We had filmed a completely alternate video of me like going through the seasons of life. And my favorite shot was on the summer set that we had, which is where like the video came together in like the desert. And we did like a one take there because we all just really liked it. And then I got all the footage back and I liked it better because it's one of my favorite songs. And considering what it's about, I was like, the full produced video didn't like feel good with it. And so I just, went with what felt better. And I feel like and I like kind of learned a lesson with that too. I was like, okay, you know what? Like if something feels like it doesn't need a whole thing, then I'm not going to do it.
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of where that one came from.
Well, it's probably because it's such a heartfelt song too. You didn't want to have some artificial visual. You'd rather have something that was more organic, probably.
Yeah, exactly. And we transferred like the digital files into film. And that wasn't the original plan. And that was, and that helped too, just to give it more of that, like, just to make it feel softer, because I feel like that's what the whole thing was. Like, I'm talking about this, morbid thing, but it's a little bit comforting in a way. So
right, it's kind of like a silver lining in a way, but the bright side to something that was horrible.
Yeah, totally. And so it's been like an interesting thing to touch on, and it was very like nice and cathartic for me too, because it wasn't something I'd written about before.
Oh, that's amazing. And I can't wait to share this with everybody. So we're going to get right into this. This is Cloe Wilder's latest single called In the Next Life. Music video just came out, and if you're watching this on YouTube, you will see it right here. Otherwise, here's the song, and then we're going to get right back into it with Cloe Wilder. That was In the Next Life by Chloe Wilder. That was a dope video.
Thank you. Thank you.
I feel like there was so many talking about layers and storylines. There was so many layers to that video. There was like nostalgia in there. There was like so many like the concept of like once you told me what it was about, the music video had a whole different feel to me. Because like,
oh, that's great. Thank you.
Because as soon as I watched it, I was like, you felt it then, you know, I really felt it. And then like, I also looked in it from like an outsider's perspective, as if you didn't tell me. And I was like, wow, it could go so many different ways. It could have gone towards like a relationship. It could have gone to you know what I mean? And that's one beautiful thing about songwriting is that you can do that and make it, you know, have different meanings.
Totally. I love when anything is up for interpretation. And that's like, in this whole project too, I've just wanted it all. I want anybody to take away what they want from it. Like I tried like, and I feel like that's why I like that video too, because I feel like it's not in your face,
right.
You know, but yeah, thank you. And also another fun thing at the end, I'm like standing in front of that windmill. That was actually my grandpa's like first logo for a business he started.
Oh, wow.
Like, younger. And that was funny because we had scouted this location and I didn't know that, but my mom knew that. And so she was like, I feel like we should film here because that, you know, because of the windmill. And so that ended up being really cool that it made its way into the one take.
Jeez, what are the odds? You know,
I know. It was really cool. It was really cool because you don't really see windmills.
Right. Well, and like, obviously you're collaborating on the writing for these songs that you've been working on and everything, but how much say do you have on the storyline of the video? Is that kind of a collaborative effort as well?
Yes, because I come up with like, I mean, and like we were talking about like colors and everything, like that's all me. Storylines have been me too. For the last one, it's interesting. It kind of varies because like for the first few videos, I always start, I mean, it's kind of basic, but I make a Pinterest board. And then if I have like specific details, but like the first videos didn't have like, at least like the first two didn't have much of a storyline to them. And then like the third video we did for my song, I Want to Be Alone With You, I knew I wanted it to shoot at this pink motel place. And so like that was me. And it kind of like, it's definitely a collaborative effort though, because Bobby Hannaford directed all 4 videos. And he definitely, I mean, I had to have somebody else to bounce ideas off of. And that's kind of what I'm like in a lot of areas. But yeah, so I feel like it's kind of nice to have someone to talk to about and be like, okay, these are the things we can't necessarily make happen. And let's try and, you know, get it as close as we can. But yeah, so definitely a collaborative effort, but it's fun.
Would you say like to videos, you have like a unrealistic approach going in?
I feel like, yes, sometimes. Because on this one, my first like, and this is actually like, the thought was to have me at, like it would be dark out. I wanted it to be dark out and I wanted to be on a beach and I wanted it to be one take and I would end up in the water. And everybody was like, but if you end up in the water in a one take, then you're going to be wet for the rest of the takes. And we can't just assume it's going to be perfect one take. And I was like, no, I want to end up in the water. So that's like, that was unrealistic, you know, but we churned it around a little bit. And so, yeah, I feel like it normally holds true to the first concept, but yeah, so it really depends. But, and like, for example, like for Call Me If You Need Me, my second video, like that's pretty much just a pretty purple video. And it has its moments, like, you know, I'm in a telephone booth and there's things that have meaning to them. And I was like, honestly, I just want there to be a sort of like ethereal escapism energy that, you know, matches the song, and it's purple. The song's purple. So that's kind of how I looked at it. And for my upcoming visuals, I want to, you know, dive deeper into a narrative. But yeah, for the more recent ones, it was definitely the collaborative effort of just coming up with what it was going to look like.
That's so cool. And I mean, I could relate to like the unrealistic approach, because when I grew up, I had like hard drives of music videos growing up. Like I was obsessed with music videos. I loved them. And like, I guess with that, whenever I wrote a song, I was thinking of the music video as I was writing it.
I do
right. See, there's not too many of us, because a lot of people are writing towards the live performance. They're thinking of the live performance as they're writing. Yeah. So the funny thing is, though, is these music videos I was getting in my head were like, I'm in a rocket ship, and I'm like, dude, you can't do this. Like, like some of the stuff, like obviously you can put yourself in a room, make it look like a rocket ship. Yeah. But like, given the budgets that I was working with, to the videos that I was writing. It just was not possible. So I had to like,
Yeah, that's another thing to keep in mind. Yeah.
yeah, no, it's funny, and like the other thing too is like, that's why it led me to the point to make realistic videos. It taught me about budgets and everything like that. And I think my videos I come up with in my head are a little bit more realistic now because of that.
That's good. I hope I get there because even like with my new project, like I don't know if some of these are gonna work. I have like my notes app is so chaotic right now because it's just like under each demo is like just pages. Yeah, I get it.
The difference between us though is like, well, one of the main differences is that you are in a rocket ship right now in your career. You're launch like you're so far. You're moving so much faster than I was at that rate, and I condone it and I support that 100% because you have the support around you and you have the people that will collaborate around you like that, and that's a luxury. A lot of people, a lot of artists don't get that. So the fact, like, I think just keep doing what you're doing, have those out of the box ideas, because like, based on what I'm seeing, anything's possible.
Yeah, I mean that is a good point, and that's why like I can't say that like I feel like it more comes down to like me giving it more thought and being like, okay, maybe I should do something different because I don't want my hair to be wet for all of the things, like things like that. But yeah, and I mean, when it comes to these videos, it's really been my first thought. This one was different because we had shot an entirely different video.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was a new experience for me. It's still a new experience for me, like having it not look the way I had it originally envisioned. But it's cool, it's kind of like it's still new for me. But yeah, it's fun. I've started having a lot of fun with visuals for sure.
And I think those extra videos too could be used for like fan clubs or something,
yeah,
like
I'm
behind the
definitely
scenes
gonna
and stuff.
use some of those. Yeah, for sure, because there were cool moments. Yeah,
Right.
it was like the way like it all came together, and so yeah, I'll definitely put some out because I don't want. And it was a whole day of filming, so I'm definitely gonna put some out.
And I get so sentimental with things like that. Like if I shoot a good scene and then I have to get rid of it, I'm like, no, I'll literally keep it here on my desk on a hard drive. I'm like, I got to use that for. I'm like, so
No,
it's like a baby to me.
Yeah, I totally get that.
Now, what genres would you be interested in experimenting with that you're not currently working in?
Well, yeah, I mean, what I'm writing right now is definitely more in the like folk alternative world, which is but I guess that's what I'm currently doing. But I don't know. I feel like I would love to go more towards like alt rock at some point. But I'm not really sure what that would look like for me. And I've tried a little bit, but that's definitely not exactly where this project's going right now. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like a natural progression. I had no intention of like going into it and being like, okay, I want to make this a little bit folksy and a little bit
right.
And just like less bubblegum. And
right.
Bubblegum is sick and I love it. And I love, that's the thing. Like, I don't want to, by any means like ditch anything. But it's definitely, it's natural. And I feel like that's what we as artists are expected to do. But there was I had no intention of like going into it and doing something different. I was making similar music to what I was doing before, but then, what I was listening to changed and the way I was writing changed. And I'm, a couple of years older now and things are, it's just like, it was very natural. And that's why I'm just kind of riding the wave. And, if all of a sudden I'm like, the project's not coming out. But I think it is, I think it is like actually naturally forming itself. And that's why I'm like, I'm just going to keep doing it until it doesn't feel good anymore. And then maybe I'll, move on to something else.
I could see like even the pandemic didn't really help anybody's careers and performing and everything. Like, were you able to perform at all during the pandemic or no, just kind of creative stuff?
Oh, no, I think my earliest performance was, well, I guess kind of, I performed in January of 2021 of this year. Okay. And forgetting which year it is because they're all the
pandemic,
same.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I was doing a lot of live streams during the pandemic, but I hadn't really played many shows before. I played 2 shows that weren't really like shows, if that makes sense.
Right.
And, like, I didn't have a full band, I didn't have all the things. And so I played a hometown venue in January and I filmed like a bunch of videos there. And that really just was like a listening party. And it was, like not that many people. It was just friends and family from where I'm from. And, it was cool though, because there were so many people there that had like been referenced on that project. And so it was cool to like actually do that and have those be the first people that heard it. But then I just played a show in LA in June, and that was super fun. And that I had a full band for that, and there were people there, and you could buy tickets, which was cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then I just played one. I played one on October 12th too in LA, and that was super fun. So I'm and that was the same thing. Like you could actually go and get tickets, and it felt more like a thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's been super fun to get back into. But yeah, not a lot of shows during the pandemic, just the live streams.
Still, I mean, I feel like that's the way, especially the genre you're targeting right now. You see a lot of live stream type stuff going on.
True.
Now, have you been to New York at all to do anything, or?
Not to do anything. No, I mean, I miss New York so much, though. I was just saying I would really like to go back, and I would love to do shows there. That would be ideal. Yeah, I think for my new music, I think it would do well in other places.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love to do New York shows. I've always said that at some point I would like to live in New York as an artist, because I just feel like it has to feel different, and everybody's different, and like yeah, the songwriters are different, and I just like meeting and talking to other artists too, and I feel like it's all different. And that's another thing, like I haven't really spent a lot of time in like Nashville. I've never been to Austin, and kind of all the music capitals I would just love to spend more time in.
I feel like Nashville and Austin would be perfect for you, like those markets there, especially for songwriting.
That. Yeah, I love that. That's so much fun. And I would love to start, writing for other artists too. And I feel like just, traveling more and meeting more people that I can hang out with would be good.
Seriously. Yeah, no, absolutely. And obviously, and all the big pros are down, like BMI and, all of them are down there. So you could easily get in songwriting. Speaking of songwriting, all the songs you've written, just to close this out, all the songs you've written, what song of yours do you think defined you the most as an artist?
That's a good question. I would say that it's tough when you're like transitioning between like projects and everything. But right now I would say, I think my favorite off of that one, I think, is Call Me If You Need Me, just because I feel like it was my most honest, and even like melodically and everything, I feel like that was my most perfect. But then also It's True off of that project. I think those are the ones that I feel like sound the most like me. And that doesn't really make sense because every one of them sounds like me because they're mine and I wrote them. But I think that those were, and It's True was like about my, depression as an artist and, growing with my music and and that was just like a very prevalent issue for me, especially at the time of writing it. And then Call Me If You Need Me was like a similar place of like me leaving for LA. And so I feel like those were both centered around my growth and from different perspectives. But I think that that's why either one of those would define me the best artistically, especially at that time.
No, absolutely. And Call Me If You Need Me, that one actually stuck out to me the most out of all the songs I listened to. So that's kind of funny you mentioned that.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, that one's probably my favorite. Just like when I go back and listen to things, I'm like, I like this one.
Based on like what I was saying, based on the run you got going right now, you're going to have 100 more of those coming out. So prepare yourself for that. And I would say, stick to the same momentum you got going, because obviously it's working. You're doing great.
Thank you so much.
No problem. And thank you for coming on, this podcast. I appreciate it. And, come back anytime.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. This was great.
Some artists, you just have a feeling of how far they're going to go. Cloe Wilder is one of them. It was so great to meet such a motivated young individual focused on the right things in the industry. As promised, we're going to close this episode out with a release feast. Here it is.
Release feast.
So this release feast is going to consist of all hip hop releases. I haven't listened to too much this past month, but these few releases stuck out to me. The first release is The Altar by Angel Hayes. It's a dope song. I don't know if you've heard about her before, but she has songs like Black Dahlia from years ago. She did take a 6-year hiatus to make this one, though. And she is coming out with an EP on November 19th called The Girl with the Gun. This is worth a listen, though. The Altar. It's out on all major digital streaming platforms. You'll definitely hear her skills on it. The Altar. Go check it out. Rapper Ransom releases Pray for the Weak with The Game, as well as Roam the Streets. This is a dope song. As soon as I heard it on, I was like, oh yeah, I got to mention this one because it's got that authentic hip hop feel. They got the flows on it. They're showcasing their talent. It's so dope. Go check that out. Pray for the Week. Fact check me on this, but I'm pretty sure it was produced by Lord Sear. Dope beat, dope production on it. And the final one that stuck out to me, Late to the Party by Joyner Lucas with Ty Dolla $ign. Ty Dolla $ign doesn't always appeal to me, but when I saw they teamed up with Joyner Lucas, I was all over it. The song is dope as well. Go check it out. It's another hip hop hit for you. That being said, we're getting into the holiday season here. So I'm going to mix things up for you as much as I can. Like I said, on each of these episodes, try to bring in some surprises for you. Don't hesitate to reach out with any suggestions or questions or comments, whatever you want to tell me. musicmondays@mazement.co or hit me up at musicmondayspodcast.com. Thank you for tuning in, and until next month.